Hey, good morning. What is going on in the Philly real estate market? Hi, it's Maria Quattrone, and this morning I was supposed to have my guest, Dara Ellis, on and talk to her about her take on the Philly real estate market. But we're having some technical difficulties this morning. So I am on here and I'm going to be by myself this morning, which um, I'm usually by myself. So, not a big deal. If Dara's able to join us, she will. If anybody wants to ask a question, you can drop in the comment section a question that you want to ask, and I'll be happy to answer it. But I will start by talking about the real estate market in regards to buyers. So, if you are thinking about buying, and or you know somebody that's thinking about buying and they're renting right now, there are so many great programs that they should think about taking advantage of. So there's the Philly Home Grant. And so that does have income restrictions on it, but it is $10,000. The potential buyer will have to take a class, in regards to that, and then attend a session, I believe. But you get the $10,000 towards your closing cost. And then there's also CRA program. And so what is CRA? CRA is Community Reinvestment Act, and it's based on the house being in a certain census tract. And this is used for first-time borrowers. So the first-time borrower can go ahead and get up to 1% off the prevailing interest rate, up to 1% off, and put only 3% down on the property, and have no PMI, and that's private mortgage insurance. So that takes the payment down significantly because they're not going to have any PMI. So far we have the Philly First Grant, we have the CRA program. The next is Pathway to Prosperity. So with that program, and you can marry the Philly Grant with the Pathway program. The Pathway program is based on a $10,000 grant given to a borrower who buys a home in a majority minority tract, meaning that house is in an area where they deem that's a majority minority tract. So I showed a property in, is it East Oak Lane, and it was $650,000. That property qualified for it. The borrower qualified for it because the property qualified for it. It didn't matter that he made about $150,000 a year. He was still able to get that grant money. And in addition to that, let's say that the rates do go down at some point, and they go down a point, and you want to refinance it. You can get the $10,000 again, and then another 12 months again. So you can get $30,000 just by using this program that you wouldn't have gotten anywhere else. Then we have a program through Motto Mortgage, which if it doesn't qualify you don't qualify as a borrower, right? So you have to qualify as a borrower for the Philly First Grant, and that's income related. Also for CRA, that's income related and also related to the house. Then with the Pathway, there is no income on the borrower side, but it is conditioned on where the property is located. But with Motto, we have a program where it's $5,000 towards closing costs, plus appraisal, plus home warranty. So you have $6,000, and that's based on anybody can get it on any house. So $6,000, anybody can get it, any house, no income restrictions or anything like that. So that's 4 great programs for buyers to purchase right now. And especially if you are renting, you're paying your landlord's mortgage. And if you financially are stable and are able to qualify, buying a home is the single best investment that you'll ever make. There's people out there that are saying, people shouldn't own and they should just rent. And they'll say, oh, and then they'll be happy about it it's more of like this control thing that's going on. And it's really sad because home ownership is the American dream, is to own a home. And that's how you build equity. I'll tell you a story. My first property I bought was in 2001. There was one, 2001. I remember clearly. And the reason why I remember clearly is I actually bought this property for sale by owner, and I went under contract in August. And for some reason, I wasn't closing until the day before Thanksgiving. And you know what happened in between August and Thanksgiving? 9/11. And I freaked out. I'm like, should I buy a home? Oh my God, sky's falling in. And then I realized, well, I'm renting, so yes, I should still buy the home. This too, we'll never forget it, but we will get through that time. I remember I was selling actually radio advertising, and all of our clients were canceling their radio. So now I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm in sales. All the clients are canceling. Sky is falling. I didn't panic. Sky's not falling. And I remember thinking to myself, wow, should I do this? Because, there's always a way you can get out. But I bought my first place. I'll tell you, I used FHA financing. It was $118,000. I paid about just under 7%, very close to 7%, and was happy about it. No complaining about the rate. I was just happy to be getting this beautiful condo in Washington Square. It had 15-foot ceilings. It was in an old mansion that they converted to condos in the 80s. And it was beautiful. It needed some work. Like the kitchen was really old, like really old, like probably from when they did the conversion, or maybe older. And the bathroom was really old, so I ended up updating the bathroom. I actually didn't update the kitchen while I was there. I ended up just leaving it as is. But here's the story. So I didn't have an agent, but which was crazy, and the seller didn't have an agent, which was crazier. Somehow we maneuvered through it. I would never do that again. A lot of things that I didn't know, but I ended up buying the place. I ended up settling I settled the day before Thanksgiving. And I remember how excited I was. I went there, I bought a bottle of champagne. My boyfriend at the time came, brought me flowers. We sat there on the floor, drank the champagne because I wasn't moving in the night before Thanksgiving. So it was super exciting. I still get like turning a little red, excited about it. And I remember that feeling because you always remember your first, right? That first time buying this place and what it felt like. And I want that for everybody because it feels so good. Like, oh my God, all my hard work. I've been working my butt off, selling radio advertising, the money saved, I'm ready for this. And it felt so good. So I want that for you. So this is part of the story. Okay. So it was apparently the O1s. I don't remember exactly because I wasn't in real estate what the market was like, but by 03, the market was going bonkers. And I lived there for a couple of years, and then I sold the property for $220,000. And I walked away with basically $100,000 profit in just a couple of years. Never, ever would happen in renting a property. Never, ever, ever. So getting people into homes, whether you're a real estate agent, if you're a buyer, getting your first home is really important in building net worth. So that was the first property. The second property, somewhat of the same, except I actually bought a duplex in Rittenhouse Square, 20th Street between Pine and Lombard. And that property was $420,000. I kept it for about a decade, maybe a little bit longer, but I did sell it for $720,000 or $740,000. So that was, again, I lived in it for 2 years, and then I bought another place and lived in that one for quite some time. Made probably about $150,000 off the sale of my Christian Street place. And so in real estate, you can literally buy a house every 2 years, sell it, make the profit off of it if there's profit to be made. Well, you would sell it only if there's profit to be made, and then buy the next house. And you can keep doing that because every 2 years, you lived in the house 2 years, any money that you made from that house, you 100% get to keep. You don't owe Uncle Sam any money at all. So that is a great way to make money by buying a home, selling a home. Now, of course, you don't have to do any of that. You can just buy your home and live in it and be happy, right? And not pay anybody rent anymore. And having that pride of having family dinners and having ownership, right? And fixing it up the way that you want to fix it up. So if anybody has any questions about this, you can drop it in the comments. I'm be happy to answer. But owning your first home, so excited and so great. I'll tell you the story that happened. This is why you need you need representation. So it's day of closing, and the mortgage company calls and says, "I need the termite cert." I'm like, "What is that?" And I said, "You need a termite certificate." I said, "Well, it's a condo. There's no basement." And they said, "It doesn't matter. It's an FHA contract, and you need to have a termite certification." So I remember I was standing right outside the property, 1012 Spruce Street. That's the address. I called the home inspector. I said, please, is there any way you can come over and give me a certification? He's like, I'm busy, this, that. I said, I begged him, please. I'm closing in at 12 o'clock. Really need this. So somehow, I don't know how, but I persuaded him to come and meet me. And I got this termite cert. And then I drove to Jersey. I don't know why the closing was there, because I think the mortgage guy, that's where his title company was. So I just followed along the path here. And I went to Jersey. Finally, around, I guess it was 2, closed on the loan, had this termite cert. But, oh my gosh, that's crazy. It's the day of closing. I had to go to the bank to get the money. Somebody came to the office the other day, and they didn't bring the money. And I'm thinking to myself, how do you come to a closing and not bring the money? Anyway, if you are buying a home, the day of closing or the night before, you have to go to the bank and get a cashier's check and bring it to the closing table, because that's your down money you need to have, unless you put enough in escrow that you're going to be getting some back. But I digress. So I did get that termite cert. I was determined to close the day I said I was going to close. That's another thing. You got to jump through hoops to make sure you're doing everything on your part that you need to do, so that you can get your deal closed on time. Whether you're an agent or you're the buyer, both have to work together. So Young says, same experience, same or some. Anybody have any questions? You can drop them in the chat. Be happy to answer them. But my message for today is, if you don't own a home, really think hard about buying one. And we have a lot of programs that we can put you into. And if you're an agent and you want to know more about this information, I'm happy to share any of it with you. My goal is to continue to build up our real estate community here in Philadelphia and nationally as well. So if there's anything that I can do for you, please let me know. We'll try next week with Dara Ellis, who is our broker of record and listing partner extraordinaire. So we'll have her back on next week. So tune in for that. I look forward to it, and I will be talking to you more this weekend. So tune in to my lives. And, I do a live every day. So if you have any um, questions that you want answered or anything you specifically want me to talk about, you can go ahead and put it in one of the comments of one of my lives. I'd be happy to include that in one of my subject lines. So I do have a list of subjects. I also sometimes divert from that based on what happened that day. And I'm giving you a lot of like real life experiences that happen. Yes, young, real estate is always a good investment. It is. If you buy right, you make money. So it's always about the buy, right? And right now, we can walk you through what that all looks like, whether it's investment or your first time purchase. In fact, I have a 12 o'clock with a buyer consult on the phone for someone who's looking to purchase her first property, and she's buying a duplex. Oh, that's right. I wanted to tell you about this. So she's buying a duplex and she's going to go conventional. And Fannie and Freddie just put out a new guideline that you can buy a duplex through, with the Fannie or Freddie backed loans, 5% down. It used to be 20%, or you had to go FHA. 5% down. It's a great program, but using that to market my listings, 5% down on a duplex. So if the duplex is 400,000, 5% down is 20,000 plus closing costs. Let's just say that is about you're at 32 and change. So 32, you use the pathway grant, 10,000. You use the possibly the Philly First Home Grant, 10,000. You got 20,000. You only need 12,000 to close, and you're buying a $400,000 house. So where there's a will, there's a way. You have good credit. You pay your bills on time. You have to have good, decent credit, and you have to pay your bills on time. If you don't pay your bills and you're overextended, get yourself squared away first. Take care of those things first. And if you do own a home right now and you have high credit card debt, I'll talk about this in another one. You should consider refinancing into a higher rate and getting rid of the 29% credit card debt that you're carrying, because it's crazy. The reason to pay 29% is when you have home equity in your home. A lot of people have more equity in their home today than they ever did. And that's because of the boom over the last several years. So with that, I wish you all a blessed day, and keep on trucking. I always say pow. My friend likes when I say that. Pow pow. Anyway, have a great one. And if you have any questions, you can always drop them in the comments. I always will answer. And Young raises her hand for a question, or you're ready to go. Have a great one. Thanks for watching, Young, and whoever else is here.